Dude, I think this is amazing improvements over the R1. And it's one of the rare cases where I feel like this isn't even a round 2, this is a version 2. When I started doing content creation, the very first brand that actually reached out to me and said, would you like to build one of our keyboards? And I was over the moon, was Gray Studios. It's always held a special place in my heart. I think they've been really consistent over the years. I've really enjoyed their products. Are they the best products on the market? I would say in some ways, no. But in a lot of ways, I have only ever had love for Gray Studios. Like, they've made some of my favorite boards. When the Space85 came out, that's all I ever used back when that came out. I like the aesthetic of them. They're a little bit over the top, but I think they kind of like fit nicely into, just a fun aesthetic to use on the desk. So again, I really like their stuff. I think they make great products. We get to look at the Cyber Armor, Apollo Cyber Armor, Space80 R2. So again, they hold a lot of nostalgia. They did send this to me. We're going to take a look at it. I think they said I can keep this. You guys know the drill here. We usually give everything away for giveaways anyways. But here is the box for it. I don't have, just little FYI, I don't have a metric butt ton of information for this board, including stuff like pricing. I only have a Notion doc. I have just the information on this. It's still an IC from what I understand, so there's still potential for changes. So let's take a look at it. Little quick spec list here. It is going to be a 19.85 front height, which is fantastic. Sometimes Gray Studios has higher front heights. I like that this one here is 19.8. It's a 25 effective keyboard height though, so it does sit a little higher than I'd like. Usually I like the 23 to 24 range for that. It's a 7-degree typing angle. It uses spring gaskets with wave springs. We'll see what that is exactly, and silicone sleeves. And then it does have a 1.2 mil PCB. So I didn't know what to expect opening this box because, it's a fairly new product. When I opened this thing, so this is all I've done, and then I closed it because I was laughing and I thought you guys would like to see that. But little history, a long time ago, one of the jokes we made that kind of stuck was Gray Studios was one of the first custom mechanical keyboard companies to give you like a pretty nice, pretty nice screwdriver kit to go with the keyboard. And we always joked around about it being, you get a free keyboard with this really cool screwdriver. Well, again, there's a lot of stuff in here, and I'm going to show you guys up the box too. But they're giving you like a cork desk pad now, which I thought was like, it's not like double-sided or anything, but I think this is such a nice touch. Like, it's just kind of cool to have, So this already is like blowing my mind with how fun this is. So you get this right away, which is really fun. It's kind of like a custom shaped, little desk pad that you can put on, which, you know what, I'm here for it, man. As per Gray Studios kind of norm here, you do get an FR4 plate. I do wish Gray Studios would open up the default plate to something else. Again, that's probably going to be customizable in the group buy, hopefully. This is an FR4 plate. Not my favorite plate in the world. What else do we got here? We have a hot swap PCB they sent over. Oh wow, pogo pin this time around. Very nice. So we got a pogo pin, which is definitely a change from the last one, if I remember correctly. And a plethora of options here on the hot swap PCB. Like, I cannot even complain about the options here. It has split. It looks like it even has split right, split left. Split left with no ISO doesn't make sense, but I mean, I'm happy that it's there. A bunch of different options for the bottom row. Only thing it's missing is ISO, which is sometimes hard to do with hot swap PCBs. Some LEDs here on the right side. So foam kit here, and then another secondary PCB. Are both these PCBs the same? One I think is actually 1.6 and one is 1.2. These one feels... Oh no, they're exactly the same. I don't know why there's two PCBs. Maybe they just sent one as backup. It should be 1.2, but for some reason it feels a bit thicker. Because it did say 1.2 on the list there. There has been evidence that we have seen with keyboards where 1.2 versus 1.6, like 1.6 can feel a bit more, or not feel, but sound a bit more full. But I've used plenty of keyboards with 1.2 and they sound great. It's really just the flex cuts. That's really the thing that can make or break a PCB for me, like in terms of sound. But 1.2 versus 1.6, you'd be surprised. Let's take a look at the toolbox kit first, and then we'll look at the keyboard last. Oh wow, they've changed up the box a little bit. It has one of those like satisfying tear things. Oh, they changed packaging too. Cute. Hey, and we get tweezers and the screwdriver. That's the one thing I really appreciate from Gray Studios. Like I said, you literally get like everything in the box. We get some spare screws here. Stabilizer pads. Oh yeah, nice. I forgot they always give you these. So these are stab pads. And if you don't have stab pads with your stabilizers, they give you a set, which is like incredibly thoughtful considering they're doing a 1.2mm PCB. And then what else do we got here? We have, I have no clue what this is. I'm unsure. This maybe is part of the keyboard, but it isn't. This is the only one that's like not labeled. I'm unsure what this is. That's the light blocker? Okay. Light blocker there, and then what do we got here? We got, oh, interesting. Whoa. Huh? These are the gaskets. Oh. Can't say I've seen something like that before. They look like shock absorbers. Yeah. Nice. Ooh, nice color too. It's like a gray. I wish I had the other Space80, but we gave it away because this would be really cool to compare to the last one. But they do have a lot of comparison photos, I think, on the website. So like design updates from round one. While preserving these classic elements, we've introduced several subtle improvements based on our experience with the Space80, all designed to enhance the overall experience. We've upgraded the PCB connection with a split magnetic daughterboard design, making the inner frame attachment simpler and more intuitive. Cool. We've improved the light control. Cool. For a more refined user experience, we've replaced the top and bottom case fasteners with 6 set of ball catch system. Oh, nice. Very cool. To deliver a softer, more responsive typing experience, we've equipped the inner frame with a spring gasket system. I'm excited to try those out. The badge and bottom weight now feature a mirror finished stainless steel with PVD coating. Oh, there's like a silicone piece on the inside too. That's neat. I think they did that recently on one of their boards too. Oh, this is dope. So this is their authenticity card. I mean, this is cool. I appreciate this. You get like a little I call these Livestrong bracelets. Those who know. But you do get like a little, I guess, a little band here to go with it. Little double identity card here for the keyboard. I really like the new top piece here. This does look a little different. I'm gonna look up what the old one looked like here. That is nice. And I've spoken about this before too, like decals are interesting. I feel like decals are really easy to mess up, for me at least, and I think that's why I'm so particular with them. The accents people do sometimes can be really like jarring. I think stuff like this, where it's a little bit more pronounced, gives the board character. And again, I'm kind of a person who likes the whole thing done over here or nothing at all. I'm not really too into like little engravings over here and stuff, but this is nice. This is a good use of space, I feel. They even got like a little notch, which kind of, these little notches kind of appear in a lot of the keyboard. And then it's kind of framed like the Space series are. This is nice too. I do like how it extends out here in the back as well. Very space themed. This is polycarbonate, I believe, or acrylic. I'm not too sure what material, but this should have LEDs. Yeah, I'm fine with the Apollo symbol on here. It doesn't really have anything else. It's just this like little Apollo symbol that they do for the Space80 series, or the Space series. Yeah, this is nice too. Like I said, these keyboards are sharp. Like Gray Studios has always done a really good job with this. This has a piece of film which I'll tear off later, but really cool. Like, this is a good blend of materials on the back. This is definitely screaming Dualshot in it. We have 4 feet. If memory serves, on one of the older Space80 or Space series keyboards, I think the feet were a little awkward. This looks pretty simplistic, which I appreciate. Again, side profile looks nice. Blends into the back really nicely as well. Lately, I've also, like on my personal keyboards, I've been just going with Wob, man. Wob has been like my go-to for anything personal, so this is such a nice change up. So on the right here that I'll show you guys, I think this is so much nicer on this version here. It's a nicer change up. It looks a lot more elegant in the new version. Yeah, they really like finesse this to be even better than it was before. The back didn't have that really large protruding piece like it has now, and I think that adds some character to the keyboard too. Side profile, I'd say, has like more or less stayed the same. The bottom was just this one bar that said Space80, which I remember at the time, like when it released, it was a nice looking keyboard, but it had RGB around it. Again, I like what they did with this more. I still think this has a smaller, not as thick RGB ring around the weight, but I like what they did here by incorporating some different colors. Yeah, I'd say overall this is like a net positive in terms of the aesthetic changes here. Now this is catchball, right? So, hell yeah, dude. It is cool to see this being catchball. Oh, dude. Huh? That is so cool. Is this just a piece of FR4? I wonder how that will affect the sound. That's cool. This looks really cool. I need to readjust the daughter board there, but this might be totally by accident, but it also could be intentional. Now, obviously, this doesn't go for all of them here. I think actually mounting these on the polycarbonate piece over here is actually really smart. I feel like that's going to take away some of the pinginess. Wow, this is interesting. So that'll just sit like that. I think they nailed the design here. They nailed this. This looks so cool. I know this is the inside, but this is so cool looking, dude. So cool looking. So these are Phillips head to access this part. Actually, these screws are relatively easy to take out, so. This is not just a piece. Dude, hold on a second. I thought this was just a random piece of FR4 that just was like inlaid on the center. This is the LED. This is like the whole LED array panel for LEDs that go on the bottom. That is actually kind of cool that they incorporated this into the design. Interesting. So they're also doubling this as an internal badge. The way it's built into the theme too, it's awesome. Genuinely amazing. I think they did an excellent job of just theming out this board to be exactly what it wants to be. Overall, really nice aesthetic they got going on for all this. All right, so the switches I'm using today are M1 switches. I think these will actually sound pretty good for this. What are these even called? Spring gaskets? Okay, so this is required apparently. So how do these mount? Do we put the springs facing down or up? I'm guessing down, right? Springs go downward facing. We have a gasket spring hybrid. We'll put it on all the sockets or all the little mounting points for now, and we'll adjust as needed. Cool. Oh, that's clean. That actually is like such a clean LED. No bleed around the entire thing. That's what I want to see when people are doing like LEDs. So I would say looking this directly on, you're going to see some LED hotspots there. Does that extend a little bit to the back? It does. Oh my goodness, that's pretty. I would say there's a little piece that you can kind of spot through here, through this accent, if you guys can see that. Sorry, my cable's not long enough for this. Little piece right there. Either that needs to be screwed in more or there's a gap that needs to be closed. But again, from other angles, that's looking directly on. You're probably never going to see that. Beautiful. I like how it extends all the way on the back. And then it also has, like I mentioned, around the weight, which I think this is really pretty. Again, I think they killed it with this. This looks good. Yeah, again, I don't see this aesthetic being for literally everyone, but this is really nice. Is Dualshot a match? It kind of is. I like it. This turned out really nice. This is a cool looking board. With the LEDs on, I think this makes the board, you know? One of those few keyboards that looks really good with the LEDs on and off. So it definitely has a little bit more bounce. Now in practicality here, when you're just typing normally, not really. I would say the springs are a bit firmer. I wonder how much that contributes to the sound profile of the board. So M1 switches, FR4 plate, no foam except for the necessary piece of silicone, which is it has an interesting shape, which I'll show off again afterwards. Bit more of a bassier sound profile, huh? Oh. Oh, not bad. It's a deeper spacebar, but it's not a muddy sounding spacebar, nor is it like a plasticky sounding spacebar. It just has like a low sound profile. Could also be the M1 switch here. We can try with the Cherry after this just to see what sounds. Really solid modifiers. I think this sounds really good. I'm going to try a Cherry switch, and then we'll talk about some of the things I'm thinking. I wish there's a bit more room for reverb. It's definitely, and that's something I'm going to mention, it's definitely not a keyboard where you're going to get more of an aluminum sound profile. This is definitely a board where it seems like it's first and foremost about bassier sound signatures. With the Cherry, this is a lot more familiar right now. But it's a very clean-cut sound. In a good way. In a very good way, in my opinion. It doesn't have some of that aluminum sound profile, which I think we're kind of used to. What I'm going to do now is do one thing here. I actually preferred the M1 switch. So first of all, let's put that back in. Now I know Oak said that we kind of have to use the silicone, but like what happens if we take this out? I can't imagine this would flop around too much, would it? There is a little bit of... I see. We do have a bit of shifting. But that sounds really fucking good though. Oh, wait. If I could offer them one suggestion, it would be, and you probably could just do this yourself, but obviously like something from the factory would make more sense. I would suggest them to, where's my pointer thing? Offer a secondary silicone mold, or piece, I should say, without the middle here. Just offer the edges where it can help align everything and then act as its natural force break. I do think they should add a secondary piece. 1000% just offer the edges. Either way, I'm still really happy with the sound profile. It does have a little bit of, without the silicone, you can probably still get away with not using it though. Like realistically, you can probably get away with not bothering to put this in. Like, I'd still be super happy with that, you know? One other thing I'd suggest as well, this just comes from a little bit of experience with this. I would suggest that they put a small piece of, not these ones here because it doesn't matter as much. Underneath these, I would suggest putting a small piece of foam underneath these 3 catch ball systems on the bottom. The reason I suggest that is in the long run, this will usually prevent a lot of like weird, odd sounds. Sometimes these warp and like, sometimes they come a little bit off spec. If you kind of isolate these a little bit better, you don't have that issue anymore. Not that this sounded bad at all. This is just a suggestion. But I do want to now try without the mounting point here on the bottom. Oh, and then my other suggestion for them too is some sort of foam prop up over here for this. So you don't have to like fiddle with it, because it is a little awkward. Like it kind of does magnet in place rather easy, but still a little awkward. So now let's see without the mounting point underneath the spacebar. Oh yeah, that sounds a million. To me, this sounds already more open for the spacebar, even with the foam. Yeah. Interesting. And it's still very soft. It's even softer now because we removed that one mounting point. Very impressive. It's comfortable to type on too. Man, what a throwback this is. I'm happy this turned out as well as it did. Like very, very genuinely happy here. I think they did an excellent job here. This is by far my favorite project from them in the Space series. Dude, I think this is amazing improvements over the R1. And it's one of the rare cases where I feel like this isn't even a round 2, this is a version 2. Besides the aesthetic improvements, which I think are lovely, I really do appreciate the light blocker, because that was always been an... I mean, to this day, it still seems to plague keyboards. No one seems to... Well, not no one. There are certain brands that can't seem to figure it out. So really appreciate the LED light blockers there. I appreciate them using a not so common gasket mounting style here. This is cool. I can definitely feel how this makes it a bit softer, and they did it really well. I also want to applaud them for that piece of silicone here on the inside. Something I didn't really get to mention as much as I wanted to, but you know, I think adding these little molded parts here, these little like different heights and stuff, believe it or not, I think that's making a huge difference in how good this sounds. If this was just a thick piece of silicone, this would have sounded flat as hell. But because this has its own kind of like ridges and sound can do different things here, and it's not as thick as you'd think, it's pretty thin actually. I think that's an excellent piece over here too. Really good. Catchball system. I mean, it has everything you'd want. Pogo pin connector, really easy assembly. You barely have to do anything here. Oh, what did I do wrong? What's causing this not to close? But very, very nice. This made my Friday. I'm not gonna lie, this was really fun to do. This was a trip down memory lane in a lot of ways. All right, though, guys, have a good one. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Have a good Saturday. Try to get some good sleep and be well, everybody. Love you guys. Bye-bye.